What do you think about open relationships? Story 1. I can't even find one relationship. Story 2. I was in one for about 4 years. My wife back then pitched it to me and I was curious. Of course you're thinking, I get to have sex with other women and my wife is cool with it? Sign me up. So, I did. I got Tinder accounts and met others. Soon thereafter though problems started popping, jealousy, lying and lack of trust towards my wife. Come to find out, she had a side guy long before she proposed the open relationship angle. I thought the met organically and was cool with it, as I was meeting people too. But I suppose the fact that it was no longer taboo for her made her crazy jealous that I was getting attention and giving attention to new women. The whole thing imploded. It became exhausting and an emotional drain. We ended up getting a divorce and haven't spoken in 5 years. I've met a lot of great people that can make it work, but that percentage is super small. It's really hard especially if you have multiple partners at once. I don't judge others in them, but wish them luck. Story 3. My ex-wife wanted separate personal nights. I spent my personal nights with our 3 kids and she spent her nights with friends. Then it became a friend and finally it became a guy friend. She then filed for divorce. That was a rough 6 months, but I survived. I definitely understand the less guilt motive for divorce, but it's still not for me. Story 4. My ex-wife did it because she wanted to live like she was single yet come home to someone every night. Convinced/guilt me into it. I followed all the rules we set, but she broke a lot of them. Combine that with lots of verbal and emotional abuse over the course of 4 years, I decided I had enough and filed for divorce. She then proceeded to tell all my friends and family I was cheating on her. Since our open relationship wasn't publicized, it very much looked like I was cheating. I finally said enough is enough of having my name dragged through the mud and told everyone what really happened, and 99% of our friends and family dropped/blocked her and went no contact. She moved several hours away and has almost no friends and her family doesn't hardly talk to her anymore. I'm now with someone exclusively that cares for me, is extremely sensitive to anything that could trigger bad reactions due to the past abuse, and communicates about literally everything. Her 2 small kids absolutely adore me too. We've been together for almost 2 years now. Saw my ex about a year ago, 3 years post-divorce. She looked rough and miserable. I still have one friend that keeps up with her occasionally and told me she's absolutely miserable and always posts negative things on social media complaining about her life and such. I'm happier than I've ever been and she's miserable. Karma's a bitch. Story 5. I have a weird one. Husband has really hard kinks, needs his wife to do a zillion different things to make him come. Eventually, husband pushes wife to make an online dating profile so they can practice cuckoldry. Wife is tired of how difficult sex is, plus she already has proclivities for infidelity. Win/win. Wife meets qualified bull, cuckoldry ensues. Wife and bull fall in love, wife realizes it's been years since she was even kind of happy, but husband and wife are too scared to divorce. Wife and bull continue to date. COVID hits. Wife and bull continue to see each other, basically being the only people they interact with during lockdown. Eventually wife is moving about an hour away. Bull is tired of situation, gives ultimatum. Wife chooses stability, both are devastated. A month later, wife goes to bull and says that nothing is worth this pain. Husband honestly isn't as upset about this as he thought he would be. Personally, I'm still waiting for the husband to come out of the closet. His ex-wife is awesome. Story 6. Tried it, she fucked some dudes and when I picked up started getting jealous. Most open couples aren't really open. Usually someone wants it, or just wants to cheat without guilt, and someone's getting dragged into, pretending it's okay. Very few true open relationships, it's proven by how many last more than a year. Story 7. I personally hate them because of an ex. I was pressured to make our relationship open for months, and I really didn't want to. That wasn't the kind of relationship I wanted to have. I later then found out that she was pushing so hard because she was already sleeping with other guys and wanted a guilt-free way to cheat on me, and ended up sleeping with 3 other people that I am aware of. Generally I don't mind them if that's what you want and all parties are okay with that situation. I have a friend who does that and he's never been happier in terms of a relationship with someone. But I will refuse to ever do an open relationship with anyone. Story 8. In my, admittedly limited, experience, it's an excuse to cheat. When my ex told me about his first affair, he didn't say it was an affair, he said he was polyamorous, and was tired of hiding his secondary partner and wanted to tell me about her. We'd been married 8 years at the time. I had married him believing him to be monogamous. He didn't understand that you don't get to just change the terms of your relationship without the other party's consent. He had unilaterally decided since he had discovered he was poly, it was okay to go explore other relationships without ever telling me. Not okay. In theory, I'm not opposed to open relationships if that's what both parties agreed to and signed up for, but for me? Nah. Sitting there that night, listening to my husband explain why his cheating was honorable and praiseworthy and I should be happy for him? Nope. Never again. Story 9. Life is what it is. It taught me a lot about myself. I loved him and thought at first maybe it was legit, so I actually tried to support him at first, and that's my main regret. I should have drawn the line and left then because what followed was a really awful couple of years of him cheating with various people, lying about it, gaslighting me, and eventually descended into abuse. In retrospect, I think he didn't want to be married anymore but faced the idea that he didn't want to be a family man and wanted to be free of responsibilities, but since he couldn't face that, he was basically mistreating me until I couldn't take it anymore, but framing it as being the victim himself, in this journey of self-discovery. Anyway, as a result, I don't have the most positive view of open relationships, lol. I do think it's a legit thing that can be done with both parties' consent, I just think too many people use it to hide behind for shitty behavior. Story 10. I love my girlfriend and I'm not going to pretend all other beautiful people do not exist. However, me staying truthful to only being with her is another way to show my love and devotion. It's also my own validation that I can see myself with her for the rest of my life. Do you really love this person enough that you would give up being with any other? I am, and therefore don't think an open relationship is for me. Not saying that's the standard, just saying that's what works for me and what my opinion is about it. Story 11. I'm good friends with a couple who practice what they call ethical non-monogamy. They have been married for 12 years, have 10-year-old twin sons and have been swinging for about 3 years. They have both always been kind of the free love types and it seems to work for them. They are very open with me about it, and while I find that culture interesting, I don't think it's for my wife and me. As the guy in that couple jokes, the increase in sex is additive, the increase in communication is multiplicative. It seems like a lot of work to go on dates with other people and line up times away from their kids to bang others. My wife of 10 years loves sex, is still very attractive, and good in bed, so if I want some good sex, why look elsewhere when I can just ask for it and get it pretty much whenever I want? I will say this about my friends and their E&M lifestyle, it has put quite a bit of extra stress on our friend group. That couple has made it clear that they would include a couple of us in their E&M side of life if we are interested. They are good about not pressuring anyone to do anything they don't want to do, but the simple offer has created some jealous wives who are now sure their husbands are going to cheat because of course the girl in that E&M couple is very cute. My wife and I are both on the table but have declined and it hasn't seemed to put any stress on us because we are very communicative, but one couple it has strained quite a bit because I think he would, but his wife is a hard no, so it does suck when it draws our friends into it out of our control. Story 12. I'm in an open relationship, gay if that makes a difference, and find it works really well for us although it's definitely not for everyone. It also seems to be much more common in the LGBT community. Here is a bit of a brain dump of my thoughts. We decided to be open from the start, began as friends and developed into a relationship, so at the point that we decided to call it an actual relationship, we agreed to remain open. A lot of the issues I see with open relationships is where it's used as a sticking plaster to attempt to repair a failing relationship or where it ends up one-sided. There is a big difference between multiple relationships, polyamory, and an open relationship. You have one relationship but you can have sex with other people. Seems like a lot of people in this post don't seem to understand this distinction. We currently live a few hours away from each other but see each other regularly. Being open allows for us to satisfy any sexual urges. When we move in together, we will remain open, however I suspect the amount of times that we have sex with others will drop. Although as it is, we're only talking about having sex with someone else every couple of weeks, if that, not a daily thing. We identify as sexually open, romantically closed, so sexual stuff with someone else is fine but not forming another relationship with someone, dates, more romantic stuff. For example, I don't say, I love you, in a romantic way to anyone other than my boyfriend. We certainly would never call anyone else our partner/boyfriend, etc. If I'm meeting someone new then I make sure to mention that I have a boyfriend early in the conversation to set expectations and to cut off any prospect of a relationship right at the start in case that is what the other person is looking for. To me it almost indicates how confident we both are in our love for each other, that we know that just because we may occasionally have sex with other people, we aren't going to randomly fall in love and run off with someone else. It's not a goal to go out and sleep with as many people as possible, nor are we in any way unsatisfied with each other sexually. It just provides a bit of flexibility where if either of us ends up in a situation where we'd want to do something sexual with someone else, we can. We have completely open and honest communication. It's not a case of needing to ask permission to do stuff with others, but just if we're talking and one of us asks what the other is up to, if the answer is, "Oh, I'm going to see X, we might have some fun," then we say that rather attempt to hide it. It's important to be aware of the potential for jealousy and always communicate about it. However, I've generally found that any sense of jealousy I get if my partner is having sex with someone when I'm not there is actually more of a case of FOMO, and would be a similar feeling to the jealousy I'd feel if he was doing anything else that I'd enjoy while I'm not there, eating food that I like, going to the cinema, etc. Story 13. I have a partner who I like to plan elaborate dates for. They have pretty bad agoraphobia after riding out COVID in NYC, and we don't go on many casual outings, so planning day trips for the two of us is something I've really come to enjoy. I plan weeks in advance, save up, I really try to make them special. I've noticed on these trips, they will start talking and fantasizing about finding a girl to hook up with at a bar. I got really bothered by this, like, hey, this is a day I planned for the two of us, and this just leaves me feeling gross. We talked, turns out the day trips really help them feel energized, and BC the agoraphobia keeps them trapped in the house feeling horrible. These trips are the only time they feel good enough to even think about dating. I'm currently their only partner. I talked about how it made me feel unappreciated and unattractive. Through that conversation, I realized that I was feeling sexually neglected due to me having a way higher libido. They agreed to not bring talk like that on our dates. I realized their shit had nothing to do with me. We're doing ongoing work to feel more connected sexually, and they are going to therapy. I also encourage them to get on field and talk to PPL, and I'm making sure to spend more time with FWBS. So jealousy happened and we're still open. It's possible. Story 14. I met a guy on Tinder that was in an open marriage. We went on a few dates, one of which I was surprised to meet his wife and kids. They seemed like a happy family, very content with their arrangement. I enjoyed getting to know the guy, but he started to get impatient with how slowly I was moving. I wasn't comfortable moving forward physically, so we decided to end it. Fast forward a year later, and he ended up committing suicide. His wife wasted no time posting online about how awful he was to her. It seems their 20-year open relationship was his game of control. He was a cheater and an abusive husband. I carry some guilt knowing he used me to upset her, and I sat there with a stupid smile on my face.